Hello, welcome to another book review. This week I'm going to be reviewing The Unspeakable Acts of Zina Pavlou by Eleni Kyriacou. So now I was really excited to read this novel, having read her debut novel already. And I actually found out about this author because we both won the Future Bookshelf Awards in 2018, I believe. And so we had gone through almost similar processes of publishing our debut novels. And I was just waiting for this one because we had had discussions. She had told me about the novel. It's been inspired by historical events in the 1950s, which seems to be her style so far, writing books inspired by real life events. And I thoroughly enjoyed her first novel. She has a beautiful way with words, and definitely this was on my list. So as soon as it was out and on Audible, I got myself the Audible version and listened to it on Audible. So yeah, let me go ahead now and read the synopsis. They say she's a murderer. She says nothing. London, 1954. Eva Georgiou has just returned from her shift at the glamorous Café de Paris when she's summoned to her second job, Greek interpreter for the Metropolitan Police. There, she is tasked with representing Zina Pavlou, a Cypriot woman who has been accused of the brutal murder of her daughter-in-law, who has been bludgeoned, strangled, and then set alight. Eva gets to work as Zina's translator, but her concern grows that the case may be more complicated than it seems. Then Zina changes everything when she reveals she's been accused of murder once before, years ago in Cyprus. While Eva's obsession with the case deepens, so does her bond with Zina, and soon she will consider that when you lend your voice to an accused murderer, it comes at a devastating cost. A compelling historical crime audiobook set in the Greek diaspora of 1950s London that inspired by a true story. The Unspeakable Acts of Zina Pavlou is perfect for fans of Sarah Collins, Eve Chase, and Jessie Burton. So there we have it. That's the synopsis on Audible. I think the hard copy and the paperback have different synopses as well, but obviously saying similar things. So what did you think about that? Interesting. Wow. Bludgeoned, strangled, and set alight. What a horrific way to die. Zina. Ah, and so by the way, this was narrated by Daphne Alexander. I enjoy the narration. I don't know. I love listening to books on Audible now. Not only does it help me multitask, so I do it on my walks to the gym or like while I'm washing the dishes or just doing something where I don't have to think much. And so that way, I'm able to fit in still reading because to be honest, if I had to sit down and dedicate time, I've been quite bad at that over the years, so I've just decided Audible is the way for me to go. But apart from that, I do love, just listening to good narrators and the way they, use the accent, the dialects. It just makes the story come to life. So yeah, Daphne did a great job. Anyway, about the characters now. So let's start with Zina. So Zina is this, grandmother who has come all the way from Cyprus to, visit her son. She hasn't seen him for years since he left in his late teens for London. And there's a bit of, I think, would I say history there where she felt like her son didn't want her to come to London and she had been asking and asking. But I think sometimes people back home, and I say this as an migrant as well, having moved here from Nigeria and hearing stories from other people's stories and experiences as well, where people back at your home country just don't understand that you don't just move to the UK and then, this land of milk and honey is just flowing everywhere, and you have to settle, you have to find your feet. You come in here, you're not the most welcomed. You have to almost, you know, you don't hit the ground running, basically. It takes time to find your feet, to find your way, grow a community, learn the ways of the land, and then you work at it for a number of years before you start to thrive. So I could understand that aspect of it. The mother saying, "Oh, he didn't want me to come," and he was like, "Mom, we lived in a shared apartment. We had a child. Where would you have stayed?" And they probably couldn't have afforded her coming as well. So anyway, she came to the country, but quite immediately there was a friction between her and her daughter-in-law Hedy, and so that was a theme throughout the book. And of course, we learned that Hedy died in a gruesome way, and Zina, the grandmother, the mother-in-law, is the one who is like, the main suspect. There's no any other suspect, but Zina cannot speak English, knows a few words here or there. So in comes Eva, who is the one who is like, interpreting everything to her, telling her her rights, telling her what people are saying, also relaying what she's saying back. Eva is also writing letters to Zina's family back home in Greece, to rally support and come and help her for this unspeakable acts they say she has done. So this novel is so compelling, so intriguing, and the fact that it's based on historical events, things that actually happen, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. And I just love Eleni's work because it almost, not even almost, it transports you to the time ago in the 50s and just gives you a depiction and a vision into how life was like in London, because now we're in the modern times and some of these things you're just like, that would never happen. But it gives you this good sense of what life was like before, modern science, technology, medicine, and all of that. So I really like that about the author's work. The relationship between Zina and Eva grows more and more dependent because everyone basically just like hands off. Zina's family don't come to see her. Her son, understandably, doesn't want to see her as well because it's like, you've killed my wife. What do you mean I should come to see you? Like, I have to put myself first. I have children. I have to put them first. So there's that storyline there as well. So anyway, it seems like the whole world has abandoned Zina, and Eva, who is going through her own personal issues in her marriage with her husband and just going through a mental state as well, is now like the only person Zina like has in a corner. And although she's supposed to be obviously objective as the interpreter, it becomes blurry. She visits Zina, and to me, it goes too far where she almost jeopardizes her marriage as well. But because she's going through some internal turmoil, and like this case is almost the only thing she feels she can control. So there's that psychological element of it. And so Eva becomes like, the only person Zina really can trust and count on in this whole ordeal. Of course, she remains saying she did not kill Hedy, she did not kill her daughter-in-law throughout the whole process. But it's like what's it called? All road leads to you, all the evidence leads to you, there's no one else. And so the novel is just about unraveling this, what happened years before in Zina's life, in her own childhood as well, her experiences as a very young wife, an incident that happens because they let us know as well, Zina said she had been accused for murder before. So what was that all about? How does that relate to now? And it's just compelling. It's just amazing. It's just interesting, but it's also sad because you're reading all of this. I'm hearing all of this. But I'm like, this actually happened in real life. Oh my gosh. You almost don't want to be sympathetic to Hedy, but it's like, no one deserved to have died like that just because she and their mother-in-law didn't get on well, I don't want to say too much about the whole story, but not to give away any spoilers. But it's sort of this friction and this challenge and this revealing of the past and revealing of incidences And the psychological, I guess, consequences as well to what Zina had gone through that led her to this unspeakable act, which she continues to say she did not do, but all the evidence says she did. And unfortunate fatal end of it all, and the lack of grace she's shown as well, I think. And the story also doesn't dive deep into it, but it touches on, like, the feelings of being an outsider, of being a foreigner, of not speaking the language, and how that affects people going through the justice system, and how that affects public support. There's a whole lot that goes in this novel, and it's so amazing. So I definitely really enjoyed this one. And so at the end of the book, once the whole story is done, there's sort of like, would I say, author's note or something like that, where she talks about the parts of the stories that are actually based on reality, and then other parts have just been dramatized. But to be honest, more of it than I thought would be was based on real events. I could basically say the book where it was real events and just someone imagining those personal conversations and things that could have happened. But everything else surrounding the story, in terms of how the daughter-in-law died, in terms of how, like, the reporters behaved, the public behaved, how she was trialed, how things that were supposed to be put in evidence weren't given in evidence, and, like, the prejudice against her, all of that was true. And I was just like, wow, 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 wow. Anyway, this book really leaves you thinking about, it leaves you thinking about a lot. And I really enjoyed it. I definitely give this book 5 stars. No faults at all. Maybe a few places where I'm just like, oh, this character is annoying me. Like, Eva, come on, why are you doing this? Your husband deserves so much more. I know you're going through a lot, but come on, don't break your relationship. It's just a frustration of the character. There's nothing that could be done. People are people, so that cannot be a fault of the book. So these are just the parts that annoyed me. Otherwise, amazing writing, depictions, and yeah, 5 stars from me. So if you haven't read this novel, I definitely encourage you to put it on your to be read list. It's definitely worth it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, then I think you enjoy watching my other reviews where I share my thoughts about books I've read in the last couple of months. This is it for now. Bye.